Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake, Scott, Ben Anderson, thank you for making us a part of your Thursday. What's going on over there, Ben? How you doing?
Well, how are you?
I'm frustrated.
What are you frustrated about?
I have to use the headphones that are in the studio because I forgot mine.
Yeah, that's always frustrating.
And I forgot mine for a stupid reason, and yes, that is frustrating, but nobody cares. Ben.
The loaners are never that great.
No, they're never great. I was talking to Hatch before the show. You know, nobody cares. Hatch gets up at like 3 a.m. every day.
Yeah.
And I complain until he's blue in the face. And guess what?
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Wearing somebody else's headphones in this biz is like putting on a friend's swimsuit when you forget one at the pool.
It's awkward.
It's just a weird feeling.
Yeah.
You're like, I know this is not mine.
Well, they sound different.
Yeah, they sound different. All the little things. Different weight.
Only one ear works on this
Yeah, I was going to say, that one has the one ear issue.
particular
that sucks.
crappy pair.
Yeah.
So whatever. But you know what? Nobody cares.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
Nobody cares. I got like 10 minutes of sleep last night. Nobody cares.
Yeah, right.
My 3-year-old certainly didn't care.
She was the cause?
Oh, predictably.
Yeah. First game.
First game, 5.
Long game, 70-plus free throws.
Oh,
77
okay. So
free throws.
And I watched every one of them, and I'm
Yeah.
like, come on now.
Can we start there? Because my lack of sleep has not put me in the greatest mood. Can we start there? Ben, 59 fouls?
Yeah. It was rough.
A 3-hour game?
Yeah.
You cannot hate referees enough. It is not possible to hate referees enough. Are you kidding? I had somebody come into the studio who traveled over and did the Olympics and did the basketball. Not the person that's close to you, but somebody that was
Right.
In that crew or whatever, and was saying how in the international game they don't blow the whistle.
Yeah, they don't.
They don't blow the whistle, and you come back to the NBA and it's like shocking at how many whistles are blown. I think it really ruins the game. Like watching in person, I mean, it's just awful.
It's hard to watch.
And to have it on game one, it's like nobody showed up to watch you blow the whistle, pal.
That's the problem, is they try to really emphasize the rules they're going to call and not call. And we saw both of that because Keontae George kept flailing, trying to get calls when he was knocked off his line and didn't get them and looked awful as a result. And on the flip side, all the things they are trying to enforce to say we're cleaning this up this year got called. Like every whistle when the ball was 19 feet away from the hoop on a screen that just kept sending Lauri Markkanen or Colin Sexton to the free throw line late in the game was just like, that's not changing the effectiveness of the play the Jazz are running. Let them play.
Coach Lacombe had a funny observation as we were watching. By the end of the year last year, the refs didn't call anything. Like there were like 4 fouls a game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was phenomenal, honestly. But isn't that funny? Like at the beginning of the year, oh yeah, we really have to flex and show how important we are. And by the end of the year, finally they've gotten the message like, guys, stop. Just stop. You're ruining it for everyone. And Taylor Jenkins can take his review and put it where the sun don't shine too. Yeah. All right, so there's my grumpy take. Starting off, I actually don't think, considering we're talking after a loss, I actually don't think there's that much to be grumpy about in Jazz world. First, I thought they played really hard. Yeah,
they played really hard, namely Walker Kessler.
Walker Kessler,
as hard as he's played in over a year.
Might have been his best game ever, and I'm not kidding. He was like into it too.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked like he had energy out there. That's a great place to start. I thought I like to give us a lot of credit because we deserve it. And we're right a lot, especially me, but I'll throw the we in there.
Okay.
But I thought we had a really good discussion yesterday about Taylor Hendricks.
Okay.
And we came up with this silly thing, but it was part of the overall discussion of his journey, which I think is a huge story and really fascinating.
Can you repeat what your phrase was?
aim for Scottie Pippen.
Right.
Start with Bruce Bowen.
Correct.
So as you build skill, hopefully you turn into a multi-dimensional all-star.
Yeah.
But start with admiring what Bruce Bowen did, which is guard the other team's best player the whole game and make open shots.
Yeah. Dream of being a Hall of Famer. Don't forget to be a great role player.
But that's where he can start. That's where he can start and really
Yeah.
have an impact in the NBA. And I 1,000% think we saw that at least a little last night. He went head up on Ja a lot.
The very fact, and the effectiveness of how good he was against Ja, and he said after the game, I wasn't as good as I wanted to be, and Ja still got to his spots.
But
well,
he
guess
wanted
what?
to do it.
Yes, and Ja's going to get wherever he wants against any player in the NBA. Ja
Right.
is really special. He was really fun to watch again last night. It was cool to see him
Hendricks
back on the
is
court.
Like 10 years old. It'd
But
be
you-
like, hey, Ben, go out there and stand in front of Iverson. I mean, it's not like I love that he wanted to do it. Donovan Mitchell, at one time when he played for the Jazz, wanted to go guard the other team's best player.
Well, that's the value, is that when Taylor Hendricks is guarding Ja Morant, nobody else has to.
Right.
That's really valuable. That's why Royce O'Neal has made $80 million in the NBA. He will guard the guy that nobody else on the team wants to, which ideally makes everybody else's job easier. So I thought, if we want to start with Taylor, which I think is a good spot, that was a great floor for Taylor Hendricks. Now, I don't expect him to shoot 60% from three. He was 3 of 5 last night.
Not the point.
But open in the corners, got a fast break dunk just by running the floor. I thought was really aggressive on the rebounds, even though he didn't grab every rebound. He was keeping the ball alive by tapping it around. And then, when he's open, I believe that shot's going in. He has made way too many threes going back to college, his rookie year last year where he shot 38%, and then already what we've seen this year. He's made too many for me to not believe he's going to be a really good shooter.
Now, did you know that you got a shout out on the postgame show?
Oh, did I?
You did.
From Hoomst.
Well, me, obviously.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought maybe a guest came in.
No,
Bowler
but-
came in.
Jamil.
No, well, it could have been Jim. And Tim, but Tim agreed. Your questioning about what he's done to his shot, I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Like talking about how he's changed his shot. Like he started from a premise, and I'm obviously paraphrasing of like, yeah, my shot was pretty good in college, but
Yeah.
you can't get that shot off. So
Right.
I had to adjust, and he rattled off 2 or 3 things that he
his
adjusted.
footwork.
Footwork.
Yeah, simplified his mechanics.
All those things. Basically, a short code for I had to speed that thing up.
Right. He used to, because he was bigger than everyone in college, I called it the reverse seatbelt. Imagine yourself taking a seatbelt off, like you're reaching across your body. He would get the ball on his left pocket and pull it up to shoot it,
Right.
which was fine in college. Can't do it in the NBA. They
No.
close out too quickly. So now he just catches it and goes right up. He doesn't pull it across his body. He did this really weird thing that was effective. It still worked, but you got to cut that crap out. And he did.
Well, and the other guy is just as big as you in college.
Right.
That's not
And fast.
Yeah, and fast, and can jump out of the gym. And so I thought that line of questioning was really, really good. But his answer was interesting in the factual nature of it and what he actually worked on. But I think the bigger picture of what it says about him, I think, is really important. He'll fix it.
Yeah. He put in the
He'll
work.
work on it.
Yeah, even though it was
He'll-
something he was already good at.
He'll do it. Yeah.
He
He'll-
improved something that was already passable, which is a
And
good sign.
To know what to do, Ben, what do you have to do? To actually know how to fix something, what do you have to do? You have to listen.
Yep.
You have to listen. And you have to say, hey, maybe that guy knows a little something about what he's talking about. Maybe I should listen and work on it. And I think that's all really positive signs. I'm guessing that maybe, Ben, just maybe, a coach along the way went to Ben Simmons and said, hey, you really need to learn to shoot. Mm-hmm. And probably told him a few things he could work on to learn to shoot.
Yeah.
You know what he didn't do? He didn't listen.
Said, I'm Ben Stinkin' Simmons.
Yeah.
Didn't realize the stinkin' part was in full caps.
I got clutch on the business card,
Yeah,
man.
right. My cousin has a job with Adidas or whatever.
It
I don't
was
need to work
his
that hard.
sister, and it wasn't Adidas. He's always been a
Nike guy?
Nike guy.
Okay.
But I think she actually worked at Clutch.
Okay.
I don't know. I'd have to
Yeah.
I'd have to look into it. But yeah, who was his coach at college? Will Wade.
Yeah.
Will Wade was probably like, "Hey, I'll give you a little one-on-one time. Let's go work on that J." And he said, "I'll see you later." But Taylor Hendricks obviously listen to somebody.
No, it was great.
And-
I thought he was one of the bright spots today
And
or
when
yesterday.
like when they tell you that a player is really working on their stuff in their rookie season and you don't hear it a whole lot, or you don't see it a whole lot, excuse me, sometimes it's hard to believe because sometimes they say that and it's not happening. But the fact that he went out there, starting lineup, wanted to guard Ja right out of the gate, hit a bunch of key threes, got better as the game went on, and then broke down what he's working on with his shot in the postgame. And do you notice he didn't hem and haw or put a bunch of word filler in there to kind of hide stuff? Like he was like, "Oh no, Ben, good question. I'd be glad to tell you what I've been doing."
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, well, Kyle, that's a great sign."
I agree. I thought he was one of the bright spots. We touched
Anyway,
on...
fine questioning, by the way, because
Thank
you
you.
asked one and then a follow-up, right?
Yeah, I did. Just, what happened with your shot? And he said, I worked on it. I said, okay, what did you do?
Yeah. Sometimes the simplest questions are the best. I mean that wholeheartedly.
I'm with you. I thought Walker played fabulously well. He had 2 games all of last year where he had a double-double and 5 blocks. He came out of the gates with it. He dominated Zach Edey. I thought Zach was going to get the best of him just because Zach is so much bigger.
Wait. We'll get to Zach later.
Okay.
Let's talk about Walker because we will get to Zach Edey.
And I'm actually going to brush over Walker quickly just because he was great. He probably deserves more time than this. All night I was thinking about our conversation of the Golden State Warriors drew the line at Brandon Pajemski for Lauri Markkanen. Lauri Markkanen is one of the guys. Like, there are the guys in the NBA, the 10 guys, the Lock Hall of Famers. And then there's like the next 20 guys that are really, really great players. Lowry is one of those players. He had 35 points on 15 shots last night. Basically perfect basketball. I mean, basically as good as you can get. 4 of 7 from 3, 13 of 14 from the free throw line, 9 rebounds. He only turned it over twice. He never dribbles. It's like everything the Golden State Warriors are designed to thrive in that nobody ever had a solution to until they just simply got a little too old. And the one guy who got a little too old was Klay Thompson. And you've got a supersized version of Klay Thompson that you could have had, apparently, for Brandon Pajemski. And they said, that's too rich.
What are you guys talking about?
By the way, Brandon Pajemski last night, did you see what his
No.
what his box score was? They did blow out the Portland Trail Blazers. So it's not like you necessarily need to worry about what he did. But last night, Brandon Pajemski, in a reserve role, mind you, 0 points on 0 of 5 shooting in 25 minutes.
Balling.
No,
Balling out.
we want him. You take Lowry. You hold on to Lowry.
As the great Stevon Smith Sr. once told me, there's a lot of dumb general managers out there.
Yeah.
There's like, and Dunleavy might be one of them.
Well, and if you're a Jazz fan, thank goodness Danny Ainge and Justin Zanik aren't. Because I'm sure they asked for the world for Lowry Markkanen, and rightfully so, because he is worth it.
Because he's awesome. Because he's the unicorn. He's 7 feet tall, and he's super skilled.
But to flip our conversation that we were having about Taylor Hendricks, sorry to jump around, your aim for Scottie Pippen, focus on Bruce Brown?
Start with
Bruce Bowen. Aim for Scottie Pippen. Start with Bruce Bowen. Focus on Bruce Bowen, meaning love to be a Hall of Famer. Don't forget to be a really good role player first. That might be the mindset Keontae George needs to adopt.
Okay, he was the one who struggled. I thought everybody had their moments, and he struggled. Although 7 assists to 1 turnover,
like that.
You would take
Every game this year.
every game.
Yeah, I liked that part of it. I liked his playmaking. That's what he needs to recognize. Like, I have it going as a playmaker. My shot's not going. That's good. Let me do the thing that is really working for me tonight. Instead of getting focused on, well, I'm going to shoot myself out of this slump. The Jazz don't need him to do that. Now, again, this is part of the development. This is part of rebuilding. This is part of throwing young guys out there and letting them make a bunch of mistakes to learn. He's got to learn, though, because he did this a lot last year, too. And so I actually thought it was kind of a red flag that his first game out there, he didn't recognize, hey, I don't have this going tonight. I do have this going tonight. Let me focus on this ability to be a playmaker. Because they thought he fell into the pride aspect of saying, well, I'm better than Scottie Pippen Jr. Ironically, talking about Scottie Pippen.
I'm glad you used that word pride.
But he had too much pride. Going back to a rivalry that they had in the Summer League that started here in Salt Lake City where those two were really going at each other, it seemed like he wanted to prove he was better than Scottie Pippen Jr., which we know he is. So just play the right way. And he didn't play the right way.
I'm glad you used that word because it would appear, and I'm talking basketball here, not life, could use a little humility. Because do you know the hubris that it takes to go 3 for 18 in the NBA? The stones on you to take 18 shots in the first place.
Yeah.
But to go 3 for 18, that takes a lot of gall.
Right.
And you know what? I admire it in some people because it really pays off, but it still takes a lot of gall. And if he's going to do what you're talking about, that takes a little humility. You know, that's just pride messing with you, said Ving Rhames in Pulp Fiction. Like, absolutely. I totally agree with your take, but that takes a little humility. And maybe that's something that it's something players learned. And Keontae was handed a lot early, to your point about we saw some things last year. But to go out and do that in game one, we're not talking about February 18th when nobody cares anymore.
Right.
Game one, you're showing what this team's going to be all about, and you dribble half the game and take 18 shots. I didn't like it, not one bit. I do love the 7 assists to 1 turnovers. But come on. Like, Trey Burke was out going 3 for 18.
Correct. It was a Trey Burke night is what it looked like.
Absolutely a Trey Burke night. And I don't think that's what the Jazz are looking for.
No, the Jazz can't afford to have Keontae George become Trey Burke. Well, at least Keontae George can't afford to be Trey Burke.
Now,
if he wants to make it in the NBA, he can't do this.
As a team policy, what's that song in Hamilton? Speak less.
Smile more.
Smile more.
Yeah.
Dribble less.
Dribble less. Pass more.
Pass more. Dribble less, pass more. I don't know if I've seen an NBA team that's worse at dribbling the basketball. Yeah. They've got like one player maybe that can actually dribble the ball.
Yeah. Oh, man, they were. It's amazing their turnovers were as low as they were yesterday because the ball was everywhere.
The dribbling is painful to watch. Everybody. Not named Jordan Clarkson, basically.
And even he kept getting in the corner.
You know what? I'll throw Colin Sexton in. But the magic of Colin Sexton, and here's what he needs to tell everybody. What was his big development last year? Dribble less.
Yeah.
Pass more.
Yeah.
That was his big breakthrough last year. That's how Will Hardy reached him. You know, kind of a subplot of last year was you had a hot dog playing and Colin Sexton playing dribble basketball, and Will said, "You're going to play hard and pass, or you're not going to play."
Yeah.
And Colin said, "Well, I like playing."
Right. And Talon said, "I like dribbling."
Talon said, "I like dribbling." Yes, but that's got to be, and you got to break through to young players, but dribble less, pass more. I mean, the dribbling is, and Taylor, bless his heart, cannot dribble.
No.
Lowry cannot dribble.
No.
I think I saw John Collins trying to bring it up. You can't dribble.
Don't need to do it. No. Nope.
And Keontae George needs to work on that.
Here's the problem for Keontae. If he's going to be the point guard of the team, and that's kind of what they've talked about, not making him the 2 guard, making him the point guard. Because if you wanted Colin Sexton to play point guard, he could. He could be that guy if you wanted him to. But they want Keontae to be the guy because he's a little bit bigger, and ideally he starts at point guard for you. When your other starters are 5 of 8 from the floor, 6 of 7 from the floor, 4 of 7 from the floor, and 9 of 15 from the floor.
Milk that.
Get them the ball. And you already have 7 dimes. Crank that up to 15.
Yeah,
have your opening night be 8 points on 3 of 8 shooting and 15 assists. Because he could have done that last night.
Yeah.
The problem is that was on the table for him. And he said, "No, I want 18 shots.
I want to dribble into the lane."
Like, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
And it's game 1.
Yeah, whatever.
Memphis is actually a pretty tough defensive team on the perimeter. Like, they could throw different looks at him. He's got to settle down. I'm sure he was nervous. But that's the recognition part where I thought Taylor was so good because there were a lot of times last year where I thought Taylor Hendricks did not recognize what was being asked of him. And he showed exactly what was being asked of him last night. And Keontae seemed to revert to the bad Keontae.
Speak less, smile more.
Yeah.
Dribble less,
pass more.
Pass more. The whole team. That needs to be a concept for everybody.
Yeah.
Dribble less.
Yeah.
Pass more.
We've got too many Alexander Hamiltons on this team.
In fact, try not to dribble at all.
A couple more Aaron Burrs.
Let's watch some Klay Thompson.
Because you know the good thing about Aaron Burr, he could shoot.
Too soon.
You think too soon?
Way too
for
soon.
Alexander Hamilton's death?
Way too soon.
What was that? 81?
The musical opened the wound again. I don't know if the country's truly gotten over it. Yeah, a vice president shooting somebody in the street. Yeah, you're darn right we haven't gotten over it. I guess it wasn't a street.
And he's not the last vice president to shoot somebody.
Who else shot somebody?
Dick Cheney.
Oh, well, yeah.
He shot a guy in the face.
Yeah, well, not purposefully.
Not in
I
an
don't know if
actual
Aaron
formal,
Burr meant to hit him.
not in a formal duel. You mean that was?
Yeah, that's what I
out-
mean. When
it was
you're-
literally met on the middle of an
Yeah,
island
right.
that was outside of judicial precedent.
Uh-huh.
That's fine. Yeah. It's happened in our lifetime, though. 2
Yeah, but
presidents
that
ago.
doesn't count. That doesn't count at all. It's not like Dan Quayle was throwing down with somebody while he was vice president.
All right,
you know?
Perot.
That's it. We're gonna settle this like we used to. Yeah, that doesn't.
Al, get over here.
10 paces.
Yeah, Dick Cheney needing to take a gun safety course is not. That's not the same thing. All right, stay tuned. Top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com coming up right around the corner. We do want to remind you about the Hercules Hero of the Week. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Hercules Hero of the Week. Submit your nomination at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to JJ and Alex for the winner. Help us celebrate the efforts of those volunteers making an impact with the Hercules Hero of the Week, sponsored by Hercules First Federal Credit Union and Beehive Meals. More next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The wins just keep on coming for Kalani Sitake and the Cougars as BYU keeps their dream season alive.
It's magical. It's spiritual. How can you not be romantic about this game?
As the Cougars look to stay undefeated and make their bid to the college football playoffs.
Happy feet. Downfield. Caught. Broken tackle. Lassiter. Touchdown. Are you kidding me?
The KSL Sports Zone will be with the Cougars every step of the way. Your home for the best coverage of BYU football.
Hey, let's go.
Is on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, make sure to listen to The Zone every week throughout the Utah Hockey Club season for your chance to win tickets. Listen tomorrow during JJ and Alex to Win. Tune in at 4 o'clock to the interview with the Bear, the head coach of the Utah Hockey Club. Listen for the keyword Sharks, be caller 12, and one lucky listener is going to be getting a pair of tickets to see the Utah Hockey Club versus the San Jose Sharks at Delta Center on October 28th. So listen for your chance to win on your radio home of the Utah Hockey Club. Time for the top 3 stories of the day at KSLSports.com. Brought to you by Jay Brooks Jewelers, 2 locations to serve you. One on Winchester Street across from Fashion Place Mall, the other Traverse Mountain in Lehigh. Hatch in for Christian through the end of the week. How's Christian doing? You've been following him on social media. Is
Burnt to a crisp.
Is he?
Yeah.
There we go. That's our update.
That's uncomfortable. All right. Anyway, Hatch, where are we starting today?
Number 1. Walker Kessler shines in his season debut for the Utah Jazz.
It was exactly what you wanted to see. He came out with a ton of energy. He played harder than Zach Edey, which I touted how good Zach Edey's motor was. It really is one of his strengths, at being 7'4" and 300 pounds. But Walker just, I'm not going to swear, but kicked his butt. I mean, Walker just ruined him. And by the way, that's what you should do. Third-year centers should absolutely destroy rookies in their debut, which is why I was a little perturbed by what happened against Donovan Clingan on Friday night in Portland. This was a complete role reversal.
I'm not. I mean, we can get to Zach Edey. Zach Edey's not an NBA player, so Kessler should be dominating him. What I liked is that Memphis kind of does not have really any more bigs. They've put all their eggs in the Edey basket, and everybody else is soft and not really a big. Steven Adams is not on the team anymore.
No. Jay Huff was out there as a person I'd not heard of before last night and actually played quite well, but he's a mean player. He's chippy, but he's a three-point shooter.
Walker Kessler was ripping heads off to get offensive rebounds.
He was.
He was treating them like they were soft backup bigs.
Yeah.
He was playing as if, like, I'm way tougher than you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rip your arm off, and I'm going to get that offensive rebound, and then I'm going to dunk on you. So frustrated for years of Rudy Gobert refusing to run over players and dunk on them. I loved seeing Walker a little fired up. I thought his body language was totally different
Yep, it was.
than it was last year. And I think all that stuff is super important for him.
Got to talk
Because
to him. Go ahead.
that's how he makes the next step and allows himself to become more highly skilled. He's a tough guy who's going to make his impact on the game no matter who they're playing. And he at least showed that against inferior bigs.
Got to talk to him after the game. He's added 20 pounds, which is good. He needs to. He needs to be 270 pounds to play his style of basketball. One of the most important things that we talked about is he said he talked to a mental strength counselor. Basically, got some counseling on just like, hey, man, you are exactly where you wanted to be. And he said this is basically verbatim. You're exactly where you wanted to be when you were 11 years old. Why aren't you enjoying this? It sounds like Walker had to ask himself this question. Like, this is your dream. You're here.
Yeah.
Do it. Like, this is where you wanted to be. Are you going to do it or are you going to let it pass you by? And he seems to be leaning into this is where I wanted to be. This is who I want to be. This didn't accidentally happen to me as a 7-footer who has family that played basketball. This is actually where I want to be. And if he plays with that energy and that desire, he can be really good. And he was really good last night.
Zach Edey, give me one word that describes his game last night.
Overwhelmed.
I was going to go with stiff. He is a stiff who you can't play.
Walker, I will say this. I talked to Walker. It was not off the record, but it was kind of after the recording. Walker said he's going to be great. And now NBA players are going to say that, but there was no microphone in front of Walker. He didn't have to say that. He recognized, Walker recognized he kicked his butt last night. Like, Walker knew he really outplayed him. But he said he's one of the strongest people he's ever defended, and he's going to be really good. And I still believe that. But he got his butt kicked last night. That was a pretty terrible debut. Fouling out in 15 minutes is rough.
Not enough lateral quickness. Not an accident he fouled out in 15 minutes. They're going to put him in the pick and roll every single time, every second he steps on the floor, and you can't play that. The reason, the magic of Rudy Gobert, truly, we can talk about how he became an elite player. He figured out how he can be effective guarding the pick and roll because you can't just be a drop big because they're going to kill you. They're going to kill. These are NBA players. They're going to kill you. The Jazz were 16 of 27 when he was on the floor. They shot 60% almost. That's 59%. Yeah. When he was off the floor, the Jazz were 24 of 58, just 41%.
Yeah.
You get the legendary Billy Donovan. You read his lips. Can't play Cantor.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? It's not that he could be the biggest, strongest guy with the best touch on the planet.
Right.
But if he's going to give up 2 points every single time because he's on the floor, he can't play. I don't think he can play.
That was my knock on him yesterday. Was his secondary action defending the rim when you move the ball is too slow, and we talked about that on the show. And you saw the 2 Lauri Markkanen alley-oops. That was the exact same play. It was just flipped on which side of the ball he dunked it from. And I know one of them was against Edey. I think the other one was too. And then there was another one where the Jazz just came in from the baseline. And Marcus Smart said, Zach, you got to move. You're in the wrong spot. You're that big. You have to move to help me when I let my guy go past me to get to you. But if there's nobody there, it's a layup. So if he isn't able to do that, his size is totally negated.
Okay. I've got a mental exercise for you. All right. You went snowboarding with our friend Kyle Gunther not that long ago.
Okay.
Kyle snowboards a lot.
He does, yeah.
And you went with him and you haven't gone as much.
Right.
I'm guessing that you were pretty fatigued at the end.
I was.
Now, I want you to remember how you felt the next morning.
Right.
When you got out of bed.
Uh-huh.
Remember how you felt.
Uh-huh.
Now imagine yourself having to get back to prevent a Lauri Markkanen alley-oop in that state.
Okay.
It's really hard.
It is hard.
You're really stiff.
Right.
You're really.
You think
really
that's how Zach
stiff.
Edey feels all the time?
It's not his fault.
It's just how his body moves.
He's 7'9" and 400 pounds. Andre the Giant was a stiff too.
He's 7'4", 300 pounds. Again,
the magic of Wembanyama is he is not a stiff.
He's not. No, he's Rudy Gobert athletically, if not a little bit better, and he is 7'5".
You can't be a 7-foot stiff. Giannis is not.
That is funny you say that because I asked Walker, is Edie the biggest guy you've ever played against? I didn't know if high school there was some freak or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he said, well, do you count Wemby? And I said, okay, Wemby's he's like, Wemby's probably taller. Zach's way stronger.
I'll tell you a secret that the NBA astonishingly never woke up to. You know why the Jazz beat the Rockets 2 years in a row in the playoffs back in the aughts? Because Yao Ming was a stiff.
Yeah. Mehmet Okur was really,
Yao
Memo and
Ming
Boozer
was a stiff.
really were able to go around him. No, that
They
will be
lost
the big,
because of that.
that
And
will
when
be Edie's big challenge.
I don't think he can. I mean, you can play a stiff 15 minutes, I guess.
He's got to get serviceable at the rim. Otherwise, you're right. He can't
Rudy
play
was
30
a
minutes.
foul machine for the first part of his career. A foul machine. And Rudy figured out how he was going to guard the pick and roll, and that if he spread out long enough, he could negate the fact that he wasn't that laterally quick. And maybe Edie figures something like that out, but Rudy's a lot more limber than he is.
Yeah, yes, he is. And his body was able to transform. And Edie's not going to be able to transform his body like that. They are at Houston on Friday, Memphis. I'm going to be watching Edie all year. I'm fascinated. It was a coin toss for a lot of people. I was on this side. I think he's going to make it. You're on the side he's not, so I'm curious to watch it.
Well, Memphis bet way too much on that he will.
They did. Hey, our friend Kristen Peak, the Yahoo Sports draft expert, said she thought it was the worst draft pick she'd ever seen. So she's with you.
And Kristen's a genius.
She knows. She does know. So, yeah, she's very good at her job.
Oh, yeah, we have more.
This is only top three stories.
This
was number one.
I really wanted to bag on Edie. Next.
All right, number 2. Utah Hockey Club hosts the Colorado Avalanche.
Chance to bounce back tonight. 4-0 loss to the Ottawa Senators. Gave up 4 goals in 8 minutes. They didn't even play all that poorly. They just had a really bad stretch. We'll see if they can bounce back against a cool team in the Avalanche tonight.
Yeah, hopefully we see a ton of goals, bunch of goals. And I was just thinking, who would win in a fight between an Avalanche and a Yeti? Like, I figure if you're a surviving Yeti, you probably have survived some avalanches.
Yeah.
The other thing is the Avs have a secondary or tertiary logo that is a
Yeah, their former mascot.
Yeti.
Isn't that one of
Was
the
a Yeti.
reasons why some people think they won't do it or it's too close to have? Wasn't that one
somebody
of
said
the
that
knocks on the Yeti?
There could have been a trademark issue or some such, but
Doesn't seem like that's going to be a
No.
hang-up. This is fun. Avalanche have a ton of super high caliber players. Some of the best players in the world do play for the Avalanche, and I'm sure there are a lot of Avalanche fans in Salt Lake City because it's been your closest hockey team for the last 2 decades. So excited to have them come in, and we'll see if the defense can play a little bit better. Now, the defense was okay except for those 8 minutes, and really some of it was the goalkeeping. So
I think defense is likely going to struggle
All
for
year.
the rest of the year.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, even to somebody who's trying to pick up on hockey, that was the vulnerability of the team going in.
and
our
they've-
guy Cole Bagley's over at Morning Skate right now. He literally just tweeted that Vijamelka, the backup goalkeeper, last guy off the ice, usually an indication that he's going to get the start tonight in goal.
yeah.
All right.
Well, he had a clean sheet over the last 2 periods. It was Ingram who gave it the 4 goals. We'll see what they can do. Bad news. John Marino, who's one of the free agent additions on defense, out for 3 months, I think,
3 to 4 months.
with
yeah.
back surgery.
Yep, back surgery. And then Sean Dursey is 4 to 5 months with shoulder surgery.
Yeah, not great.
All right. What's next?
All right, number 3. This is a fun one. USC can't afford to fire Stinkin' Riley.
This might be your favorite top 3 we've ever done. You can
It's
bag on
just
Zach Edey
amazing.
and Stinkin' Riley.
And Stinkin' Riley? Stinking it up so bad, but USC can't fire him because they'd have to pay him how much?
Upwards of close to $90 million.
Yeah, somewhere in the realm of $88 million, as I understand it. That's his buyout currently.
Man, at least Texas A&M ponied up the dough to bag Jimbo. You know what I mean?
You know,
Like,
oil prices were high at the time, so they could.
Yeah, they had some cash.
so the Trojans can't afford. So Stinkin's in the best position possible. He can stink it up as much as he wants,
Do whatever he wants at this point.
and he would not get fired. Isn't it? Do you find it as hilarious as I do, Ben, to watch people with all the resources in the world, and this is why I'm a sick person, totally make, like, USC has every advantage of any university in the country when it comes to athletics. They do. They've got the infrastructure, the money, the tradition, the market, all the things, the cool, all the things. They have bungled every coaching decision that they have made. And I'm not even going to give them credit for Pete Carroll because he was like their 4th choice.
Yeah.
They bungled their way into a good decision. It's not like they were particularly visionary. But AD after AD after AD, it's like you have a 2-pronged decision to make, and they pick the wrong one every time.
Not to belabor a point that I think you've made very astutely, is that USC's advantage is they can have any player they want
Any player.
in South California, Southern California.
Norm Chow came on DJ and PK for years, and he said it was not recruiting at USC.
He's picking.
It was selecting.
Yeah, right. You pick your guys.
Yeah.
And they chose to go the softest style of football that there is.
Period.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
the
make
air raid.
any sense.
I said
it doesn't make any sense to say we can pick whatever we want. We can pick whatever style we want. We just have to have the coach that matches that style, and they went soft. Lincoln Riley. It's so weird.
They went with a gimmick.
Yeah, it's
a
so
soft gimmick. I said it the day he was hired, and people called me crazy. And I was like, why would you do that? Why you do that in Lubbock?
Washington State.
You do that at
Yeah.
Washington State.
Yeah, you need to find an advantage, so you use that advantage. You don't need to do that at Texas. You don't need to do that at Southern Cal. You
At
don't need to do that
Alabama,
at Alabama,
at Florida,
Washington. You don't need to
Georgia.
do that.
You don't need to do any of that.
Michigan doesn't need to do that.
No, you get the big, strong, fast guy, and you turn him loose, and you say,
Yeah.
go separate that person from the football.
And that's what everyone is doing in the Big Ten right now to USC. That's just what everybody's doing. Remember,
And that was predictable, too.
they beat LSU, and we thought, okay, maybe Stinkin's got this team going.
Maybe Stinkin's
Blanked
rolling.
Utah State 48-0. We thought, okay, good start. They are 1-4 since their only win over Wisconsin. They've lost to Michigan, Minnesota.
And Michigan stinks.
Penn State's good. They lost close 33-30 there, and they were up big in the first half, but they blew it, and then they couldn't close out notorious juggernaut Maryland.
But don't you love it? The USC fans are like, whoa, this guy stinks.
USC closes the season. Rutgers, Washington, Nebraska, UCLA, Notre Dame. They still probably make a bowl game. But yeah, like make a bowl game can no longer is not the standard at USC. 6 wins is not the standard when you have a $12 million roster, I'd imagine, and a $90 million head coach.
I expressed that I played golf with a big USC fan when I was in Palm Springs. Like this guy got paired up, and he was a fireman, and he was a super nice dude, very friendly, huge USC fan. You know, the golf covers or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I told him this, that like Stinkin' is a bad fit, and why would they do that? And this was, 2 years ago, Ben? So it was pre-Utah beating
Still
them
kind of a
3
hot
times.
take.
Yeah, it was definitely. And this guy pushed back big time.
You know he thinks about you
And
every day of his life.
I will never see this human ever again. But I take so much satisfaction
You know,
in
he
it.
goes
Like,
to bed thinking that was the worst round of golf of my life. That absolute moron played me like a fiddle. I knew exactly what was going on.
Stay tuned. More Jacob Ed next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Oh, dude.
It's game week for the Cougars. And the Zone is getting you ready for kickoff. After their miraculous victory against Oklahoma State, the Cougars look to keep their dream season alive with a trip to Central Florida. Listen all week long for the best coverage of Cougar football. Then catch the Cougar pregame show this Saturday at 12:30 with the postgame show immediately following the game. Your home for the best coverage of Cougar football is live on air, online, and on the KSL Sports app.
Yeah, boy.
This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ed, this segment is brought to you by Peach Doors and Windows. Amazing home transformations begin with Peach, where 5-star reviews are the norm. Call them today for your free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255. Peach Doors and Windows. Man, we've bagged on Edie. We've bagged on Stinkin' Riley. Who
It's a
else
good
can we
day.
bag on?
Yeah, who else are you notorious?
Well, Armpit's not up on the
Yeah, right.
on the monitor.
TV's off.
Lloyd's are like right over there.
Oh, Lloyd's here. Oh, we could bag on.
Yeah, maybe. Too bad Caleb Williams doesn't play tonight. You
Oh,
go after
I'd love
Caleb.
to bag on fingernails.
I think he might be good. Bad news.
So do you think that Stinkin' is honestly a hustler who knew that he stinks and was just riding the wave?
So we mentioned this off the air a little bit. My initial thought was, man, he was riding high at Oklahoma. Why would you ever leave? And then in the same thought, I thought, oh yeah, our whole conversation was about how he has a $90 million buyout. That's why you leave. Yeah, you get your lottery ticket comes up once. Yeah. If you're really good, it's actually real. You know what I mean? If you're elite, you will keep getting paid and keep having those huge paydays. If you don't know if you're elite and somebody offers that type of money, you just take it And whatever they gave him, 120 million, 100 million, whatever, it was the right move. He took it. And he could lose and he can get fired and whatever. Everyone will say he's a bum, and he'll say, you're right, I'm the worst football coach in this $30 million house in Malibu on the beach drinking Mai Tais for the rest of my life. You're right, I'm an absolute idiot. You've got it figured out.
Well, I'd get out of Malibu, first of all.
Okay. You're out on Malibu?
Well, I distance myself from the whole from the
Sure.
whole thing.
Sure. Go to Hilton Head.
Because you know where you don't have to hear about USC football? Guam.
Yeah, anywhere else. Yeah.
Anywhere else. Pick an island.
Hey,
Florida.
as long as he's there, you don't really have to hear about it either, which is nice.
Oh, hey. It is curious to me, though, that USC can't afford to pay him to go away. I mean, I thought USC could afford anything.
The problem is, who you're going to hire to replace him. There's always the guy.
Anyone
but it
else.
is the issue that you talk about this a lot. Why is the last guy doing well always the guy who gets hired? It's so stupid.
It is stupid.
It is such a dumb thing that we always do, and nobody's figured it out. I mean, it's DeBoer. It's replaced DeBoer at Washington.
Well, I mean, it was Gary Anderson. It was
Jed Fish.
Yeah, Jed Fish.
Jed
Right,
Fish.
yeah, it's just always the last guy.
This guy had a really good season.
And it's because if you get an Urban, you hit a home run. And, Florida got an Urban and hit a home run, and it was worth it. But there are way more whiffs than home runs in that cycle.
Well, Urban's track record was way more proven to be a winning track record. And I know that sounds crazy, but like, who was it? Mike McIntyre at Colorado.
Yeah.
He sucked it. Where was he? San Jose State? He sucked there for like 6 years and then had one like burner.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was
Florida?
Hello, Colorado.
Yeah, right. And then did Florida get him
No,
after?
that's Jim McElwain, who
McElwain.
basically
Yeah.
did the same thing in Colorado State.
That's right. That's right. Oh, I mean, Michigan State hired Mel Tucker. Did the same thing at Colorado.
See, like DeBoer, he was a coordinator like 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
He was considered somewhat of an average coordinator when he was at Indiana. And then where did he get? Fresno, and had a hot 10 seconds at Fresno. And then Washington, and had
Penix,
who he identified at Indiana.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing with these coaches. They just grab players and
cash in on the
ride
ticket.
it until it stops.
Yep.
That's what Stinkin did with Caleb Williams. He's like, I've got a lotto ticket right here.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this big job because I'm taking this. I can tell them I'm bringing my Heisman guy with me. So give me that $90 million buyout because you're going to win a national championship tomorrow. And then that doesn't prove out. The lottery ticket goes to the NFL and he's left holding the bag. But he wins.
Yeah, right. He not on the field.
Not on the
He
field.
wins
no,
in life.
In life, he
Yeah,
wins.
he wins.
He won.
It's great.
It is a scam.
Yeah, good for him. Living the dream, scamming people for hundreds of millions of dollars.
I said this
legally,
and this is too mean, but like Utah hired Craig Smith after his guy left. You hire him before his guy. You
get his guy. At least get his guy. Yeah.
Don't hire like Alabama hired DeBoer after his guy left.
Yeah. Right.
No, hire him when Penix has a year to play.
Right. It was the issue with Washington not getting Fafita and T-Mac. It's like, well, those are the guys. Those are his guys.
Right.
He didn't get them. Maybe Fafita's not
Or
the
at
guy.
least know
T-Mac
enough
is.
to know, like, okay, this guy lost his guy. Maybe I should look a little deeper. Like DeBoer got a lot of mileage out of Penix. Maybe we should look into like how are you without Penix? Urban just put together whatever roster he was handed at Bowling Green and then Utah.
Yeah.
I don't think Urban brought. I mean, it was a different world then. I was going to say I don't think Urban brought one player from Bowling Green. I don't think he
Did
took
he take anyone from Utah?
one player, a corner. What was his name? Ryan Smith, I think.
Okay.
I'd have to go back
To
and look.
Florida.
Look at it. Yeah,
From Utah.
He was a stud freshman corner who played right away at Utah
Okay.
and then went with Urban to Florida.
We had this conversation yesterday of when we misidentify Johnny Football when really it's Mike Evans. We do it with coaches more than anything.
Yeah.
We misidentify coaches when it's their starting quarterback or their power forward or whatever. We think that coach is great. And it's like, no, his player was great.
Yeah.
And he cashed that ticket.
Well, because the players are great.
players are what
and
win.
I'm not saying that coaches are meaningless because I don't believe that to be the truth either. But like Phil Jackson coached a lot of great players.
Yeah. There's fewer good coaches than there are good players.
Well, I would say because Phil was a good coach, but not in the traditional sense that we think good coaches. Phil was a good coach because he let Dennis Rodman go to Vegas. Phil was a good coach because he was he could shuffle the team together and get it to be functional.
Yeah.
No matter who the personalities
He could find
were,
a wavelength for the team.
he could find a way to make everybody pull in the right direction.
Yeah.
And you look at some of those Bulls teams, he was really good at it. He was coaching Shaq and Kobe, stopped coaching Shaq and Kobe, wrote a book about how horrible Shaq and Kobe are. Like, that was the point of the book. And then somehow was able to go back and coach Shaq and Kobe, or at least Kobe, right?
Yeah.
Trashed Kobe in a book.
Yep.
Was on this station promoting that book, by the way. And then, I'll figure out a way to get the best out of Kobe. Like, the man's a genius, but not in the way that you think.
Yeah.
People say, the triangle offense. First of all, he didn't invent the triangle offense.
Right.
Second of all, do you know what the triangle offense is? Let Michael Jordan make a decision. That's what the triangle offense is. It doesn't, like, Jeff Van Gundy has a famous quote about it.
Yeah. Right. And it's not worked anywhere else.
Ever.
Yeah.
But you have 23 and then, Kobe.
Yeah.
And strange, the triangle offense involves Shaq when they have Shaq, but didn't involve the center when they had stiffs like Luke Longley.
Bill Cartwright. Yeah.
It's not a thing. Phil Jackson isn't a great X's and O's coach, but man, he can ride some best players.
Yeah, he can.
He can take credit for other people's work like the best of them. But then there's somebody, and I'm not trying to compare Bronco Mendenhall to the great coaches, so don't misunderstand me. But Bronco, as flawed as he is a really good football coach.
Yeah, he is.
He will get more out of his teams than he should get.
Right.
He's really good at the X's and O's thing. He's really good at discipline. He's really good at the key things it takes to make average teams good or bad teams average.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a really,
He's a
really
floor
good
raiser.
coach that
He's a
way.
floor raiser.
Right.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even want to be bothered with good players.
Right. He doesn't want to deal with
He
the
doesn't
nonsense
even
that comes with it.
he doesn't even want to be distracted. He never even talked about the NFL at BYU ever. That was not. He would pass on players recruiting. Who was the big recruit from Utah County that ended up going to USC? The linebacker that everybody loved,
Gustin.
Gustin,
Porter
Gustin.
Gustin,
Didn't
yeah.
even bother with it. No,
Yeah.
not our guy.
Yep.
So I think there's two ends of the spectrum. I do think there are good coaches out there that make a difference. But the quote unquote best coaches are the ones that coach the best players, and that's not coincidental.
Yep. You're right.
I mean, you love bagging on Pop now. What's the difference between Pop today and Pop of 2008? And don't give me this game passed me by crap. That's not true.
No, you had Tim Duncan.
Thank you. Yeah,
The fifth best player who's ever lived.
makes you look like a genius.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. We'll have more next. Jake and Ben.
We're a little over.
97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.